Hi, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I'm reaching out to you today because it's no surprise that so many people today have a great deal of uncertainty about where life, the world, the economy is going. We're going through massive changes, and some of them are unprecedented. We haven't seen for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. And yet at the same time, we inherently know that with all this change, there's opportunity, that there's a chance for our lives to be better than they've ever been. The transformations that are happening in science and technology can truly change the quality of our lives, the length of our lives, the way we experience life. And yet, day to day, most people live, I think, with a great deal of foreboding, a great deal of uncertainty. And so I thought it might be nice to just drop in for a couple of minutes and give you a couple of triggers to remind you what I know you know in your heart. And that is, we are not made to survive, we're made to thrive. Human beings, our spirit, our capacity to adapt, our ability to grow, our ability to learn with lightning-like speed, our ability to find a way to serve others, that calling inside of us that we have as a parent or as a friend or someone who truly cares, when we put our fear aside because there's something we want to serve greater than ourselves, we all have that ability to find that passion in our life. And as we now are in 2014, a lot of people start out with a new year and it becomes a trigger for the possibility of a new life. But that disappears after a few disappointments, after coming up with a few New Year's resolutions that within a week or two they've already broken. I'm here to talk to you about just the simple core of what you and I are made for. We are not made to survive. We're not made to manage our pain or get through it. We're made to be creators of our lives. We can create anything we can dream about, we can create. And I know that sounds like positive thinking, just BS. But in your soul, there have been times in your life, I know, when you've had something that you wanted so much. Maybe you wanted something for someone you care about. Maybe you wanted something for yourself. But you became so obsessed with something, achieving it, experiencing it, whether it was a transformation, in yourself, a change in your business, making a certain amount of money, getting a job, increase of some position increase. Maybe it was doing something for your mom or your dad or your kids. Somewhere in your life, you've gotten obsessed enough to really want to create something that you may not even know how you were going to do it, but you just wanted it, desired it, that you started all of a sudden taking action and you got insights. And before you knew it, what used to be just this impossible dream became a reality. Is it fair to say that at some stage in your life that there are some things today in your life that were once just a dream or a goal, that once seemed difficult or impossible, whether it be the job you have or the relationship you're in and might be taking for granted? Is there anything in your life today that was once like that? Well, then you and I are creators. And very often when we get overwhelmed by so many things that we feel out of control by, we start getting into being managers of our life, managing our pain, managing through the situation. So my purpose here is to say, what does it take to thrive once again? So let me give you 5 quick keys. Number 1 key to thriving is you've got to allow yourself to be able to take advantage of uncertainty. Yes, the world is uncertain right now. Uncertainty is change. Change is life. We both know that. We all know that. But if you and I are going to become masters, we have to understand that we don't have to work on change. Change is automatic. Progress is not. If you and I are going to make progress here in 2014, whatever stage of the year you're looking at this, progress comes when you tell yourself the truth and you're able to feel the uncertainty and take action anyway. The thing that stops us all is fear. It's no surprise. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, fear of not looking good. And that fear we could translate into the simple thing of uncertainty. Now, when you look at someone who's incredibly successful, you look at someone who's truly a leader in their life or in their field, the one thing they have in common is they exude this sense of certainty. Now, where's that come from? Is it inborn? Are they lucky? Are things just going their way? No, great leaders know how to step in the uncertainty and bring the certainty to the situation. Most people in life, we really feel like the level of stress in our life comes to how much of life do you feel like you control, or how much does life control you? Do you tend to control more of what's going on, or events controlling you? It's very easy to have those events start to take control unless we take control of what's between our ears, our own mind. You see, what you and I focus on massively affects how we feel, whether we're thriving or surviving. If you focus on what you can't control, if you focus on the past, if you focus on what's missing from your life constantly, that pattern of focus will make you frustrated, overwhelmed, depressed. It won't even matter if you're, taking antidepressants. If you keep focusing on what you can't control, what's missing from your life, you're going to feel depressed still. You can take as many antidepressants as you want. Focus equals power. If you want to thrive, you got to focus on what you can control. You got to focus on the difference you can make. You got to focus on what's already in your life that you're grateful for. And I have a little process here at the end that's my gift to you, which is just a simple ritual that can bring you back to this place. So one thing that leaders do is they focus on the things they want, they focus on what they can control, they focus on what they have a combination of gratitude, strength, and commitment. They really unleash the second element. They have a vision. They have something that they're after, something they want to create, something they want to contribute, something they want to give, something they want to make happen. And that's when you become a creator again instead of a manager of life. And it's easy to lose that sense of vision in your life through disappointments. Hey, we've all had them. You get all excited about something and then, life seems to crush it. Somebody betrays you. You betray yourself. You don't follow through and then you don't trust yourself at the same level. What makes somebody a leader is they build this certainty, and not only with focus, not only do they get a vision for what they want, but they bring that certainty in their body. Listen, if you've ever been to one of my live events, you know that one of the greatest things about, let's say, Unleash the Power Within is you go through a weekend where you literally train your nervous system to have certainty. I mean, how the heck do we get people to storm through fire? It's not about fire walking. It's about getting yourself to be able to take action in the areas of your life that normally you would more than hold back, where your brain would take over and say, I can't do this. Are you crazy? Somebody else did it, but not me. What we do is get people in a state where you're going to follow through, where you're going to face your fear and do it anyway. And the way we do that, besides changing people's focus, showing you how to direct and control that focus, is also by learning how to use your body as the tool to change your state. Listen, if I drop my shoulders enough, if I were to breathe shallow enough, if I were to slow down and say, I don't know, I'll give it a try, and go into this state, I'd be like Samson getting his hair cut off, right? Because what we don't realize is that our mind is directly affected by the way we use our body. If you change the tempo in which you move, if you change the way you breathe, if you change the way you use your voice, you literally change your biochemistry. And the one thing that you'll see that's the same with the greatest golfer in the world or the greatest musician or the greatest, actor is they have this sense of certainty, and it isn't born. It's something that you make as a habit. You drill it into yourself. I sure as heck didn't have that sense of certainty growing up, not even close. And what I found myself doing early on is I felt so uncertain, I couldn't get myself to do anything. So I developed these rituals of certainty. I would go on these runs, and on the run, even though I didn't feel like it, I would do these incantations where I would say out loud over and over again, God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. For I'm one with God, and God is everything. And I would say that over and over and over for 30 minutes. Just crazy. And I would envision that God's circulating, his wealth circulating my life, and I'd see the wealth of love and friendship and impact and growth and economics and all these things, physical fitness and aliveness. I'd see this wealth of abundance flowing, oceans of it, into my life as I went and did these things. If you envision something clearly enough and you bring certainty to it over and over again, if you engage your physical body in a simple ritual, it could be as little as 10 minutes a day. I call it my hour of power, or 15 minutes to be fulfilled. And all you do is you take 5 minutes, and in those first 5 minutes, you get yourself moving, and you get yourself in a state of certainty in the way you move and the way you breathe. You focus on what you're excited about in your life. You focus on what you want to create, what you want to bring to your children, what you want to bring to the world. And it changes your state. We all know what happens when you're out of state. When you're burnt out, when you're frustrated, when you're overwhelmed. You snap at people sometimes, feel bad about it. You didn't mean to. It's just the state you're in. So to thrive this year, take uncertainty and bring certainty to it. To thrive this year, get what I call a compelling future. Pick anything, a goal, a dream, a desire, something that excites you so much that you're going to feel yourself compelled to actually find a way to make it happen. You've done it before. You've gotten obsessed. You don't even know how you did it, but things happen and you got yourself to where you want to be. Let's make that happen this year, right now. Regardless if it's later in the year or the beginning of the year you're watching this, I made this so that hopefully I'd remind you of what you know, that you're made to thrive, not survive. What's the third element that makes somebody an effective leader, makes them a thriver, even when the environment is crazy? Well, they bring certainty to uncertainty. That's leadership skill by focus and physiology. By the way they move, by the way they breathe, by what they do. They bring that certainty because there's something they want so bad that it makes them overcome the fear. They focus on what they want to create, what they want to give, not, oh my God, what if I fail? But the third thing they do is they're decisive. Listen, nothing changes your life like decision. I mean real decision, though. not where people go, well, I'll try, or I kind of decided I want to give this a shot. The word decision comes from incision in Latin, to cut off from. And when you make a decision, you cut off from any possibility except the thing you've committed to. As I always tell people, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. I mean, if you make a real decision, every bit of you is committed to something, it's amazing how life will move for the force of nature of a human being, man or woman, that says, this is how it will be. I don't know how I'm going to get it done, but I know this is what I'm going to do. I know why I'm going to do it. It was Martin Luther King who said, any man who hasn't figured out what he's willing to die for isn't fit to live. If you can find something you're so excited about, if you can find something that will drive you with that certainty, and you add to that decisiveness, you can change anything. You don't like your job, change it. You go, oh, but there's no jobs out there. Bull, right? Change it, start the job. Change who you are in the job where you are, and enjoy yourself. Change your perception, change your appreciation, change your gratitude, change your daily rituals so you start to enjoy things. Change what you notice. Change from trying to get something to trying to give something. The whole game will change. Decisiveness is the ability to make a decision even though you're uncertain once again. What keeps people from making a decision? Fear of failure. I remember I had a chance to get to know General Norman Schwarzkopf during the time in which he was commanding our forces, an amazing man. And he would step over there in Desert Storm, as they called it in those days, and he could command a guy that was just brilliant. An officer who came out of, Harvard or background at Princeton, and he could take a kid from the inner city and just have that same command and connection with them. And I think part of what they respected about him is he respected everyone himself. He had this connection with people. But the other thing everybody respected was the man was decisive. And I asked him where he developed that decision-making capability, just the willingness to just make a decision and trust. And he said, Tony, I'll tell you where. I worked for this general when I was very young. And I was his assistant. And he said, I remember there was a research project that the Pentagon had worked on for that time. He said, if I remember right, like 5 years. And there were arguments. It was a very strategic decision for where the Defense Department was going to move towards in the future, how they were going to operate. And he said there were arguments for both sides. And for 5 years, they'd gone back and forth, and nothing was resolved. And they came to the general that he was serving at that time as the assistant. And they had a meeting, and the meeting lasted 1 hour. And at the end of the hour, the general stood up and said, do that. And he picked one of the two, and he did it with absolute certainty. And in the military, you salute, and you take your orders, and you go. He said, but Schwarzkopf said he was just curious, really curious, to know, how could he get up and make a decision like that? Because Schwarzkopf said, I was the one doing all the research. And there was loads and loads of research, and I know he hadn't read it all. And he said, it bothered me that he'd just make a decision like that without knowing everything he could possibly know. And so he said, Schwarzkopf said, I finally went to him and said, sir, permission to express myself freely. He said, permission granted. He said, sir, how could you make that decision? He said, there are reams and reams and reams of information. You had a 1 hour meeting, you heard 20 minutes of discussion for both sides, and you decided the entire direction where things are going to go for the armed services, for this part of the armed services. And he said, how could you possibly do that? You don't have all the information. He said, no one does. In fact, information is important to an extent, but ultimately action is what needs to be taken, and someone needs to decide. He goes, well, how do you know you made the right decision? He said, no one has made a decision, young man, in 5 years and half a decade. What I decided will be right, because either we'll put all our resources and we'll make it right, or if it's wrong, we'll discover that quicker than sitting on the fence for another 5 years, and we'll find out it's not right, and we'll change. Leadership is making decisions. If you're going to lead your own life, you got to make decisions. And what Schwarzkopf said is he realized, rule number one in life is, when put in charge, when put in command, take charge. Make the decision. If it's right or wrong, you're going to find out quicker than if you sit around. And the interesting thing is, the more you make decisions, the better you get. What makes somebody a leader? What makes somebody a leader is they're willing to make the decision other people won't make. They want to put themselves on the line, knowing that you're going to be wrong in some of those decisions, but you're going to find out quicker, and you can simply adapt and change your approach to still get where you want to go. Be decisive. Don't like your body? Change it. Don't like your relationship? Change it. Start by changing you. If you've changed you, it's still not right, then change it. But the way you make any change happen starts with a decision. All action, all results are mothered or fathered, if you would, by a decision. What's one small decision you can make right now? that would take you in a direction you know you need to go? What's a big decision that might be really tough, but if you really made it, truthfully, it would take you on a new direction of your life, because whatever direction you head into will lead to an ultimate destination or destiny. When you know what's right, it's time. When you're still fearful, it's still time. You want to change your life? Decide. Decide something you're going to do. Decide something radical. Commit an act that moves you forward instead of thinking more, because we all can get caught up. I tell people, you get in your head, you're dead. The brain is a great thing to strategize with, but there's a point in which you got to get back in your heart and you got to put yourself on the line and do something. So if you're going to thrive this year, bring certainty to your decision making by just putting yourself in that state and trusting. Trust your creator, not just a manager of life. What do you have to do? Get a vision for what you want. What else? Decide. And step 4, real quick, act. There is no such thing as a decision without action. A real decision, you cut up things off and you make it happen. You do something. And I've always found in my life, never leave the sight of making a decision to something that's important without doing something in that moment that commits you to follow through. Take some action in that moment. Because otherwise, here's what happens. You get excited or something makes sense to you, you're passionate about it, and you go, I'm going to go do this. And then you go home and you get caught up in emails and phone calls and other people needing things from you. The next thing you know, you're out of state and you don't follow through. Has it happened to you before? I promise you, if it hasn't, it will in the future. People that succeed, when an opportunity is there, they trust. They trust. If I'm going to thrive, this is here in my life for a purpose. Life isn't happening to me. Life is happening for me. And even this pain or challenge or this opportunity is something I've got to find a way to make use of. I need to make a decision, and I need to do something right now to move things forward in the direction of what I really want for my life. Even if I don't know the final destination, I need to move in that direction. I need to take some form of action. Most people, they have all these visions. Maybe they start to make a little sort of decision, but they don't make a real decision because they don't act on it. And if you don't act on it, your ideas, your dreams will die in your mind. They'll die on your lips. And think about it. Most people in North America, around the world, the Western world, are they truly fit, strong, and healthy? Do they truly have a relationship that's totally passionate? Do they love their work? Are they economically free? The vast majority, you and I both know the answer is no. If you want to be like most people, then what you got to do is figure out how to survive. If you want to lead, you got to thrive. And you have that capability, and you're probably already doing it. I'm probably speaking to the choir to some extent. If you're still watching this right now, you've turned me off as a raging maniac who's on a rant, because that's what I am. I'm on a rant right now. A rant to call to your soul to say, no matter how great life is, take it to the next level. Find the way to thrive on the very things that stop other people in their tracks. Thrive on what produces fear inside you and in other people. Thrive on something that you envision that you have a higher purpose for. Thrive by being decisive. Thrive by taking massive action. And if the massive action doesn't work, if what you try doesn't work, just simply try something else. And if that doesn't work, try something else. If that doesn't work, try something else until you find what works. Now you can speed that up by modeling, by finding somebody who's already getting the results that you want to get in your life. Somebody who already has lost 30 pounds and kept it off. They aren't lucky, it's been 5 years. Somebody who started with nothing and now they're financially free and their family has an extraordinary quality of life. Why not figure out what they do? Somebody who truly is happy, not because everything's going their way, because they find a deeper meaning and a richness in everything around themselves, whether it be their children or nature or even problems. Because obviously, if we had no problems, we feel dead inside. Problems can either destroy you or call you to become more. If you look at the biggest challenges in your life, if you brought certainty to it, if you brought a vision beyond the problem, if you made some decision of what you're going to change, even if you didn't know how, and if you took immediate action with enough intensity, massive action, you probably found the cure-all. You probably found a way to adapt and get where you want to be. That's what thriving is really all about. But the ultimate thriving is not just breaking through and making things happen. The ultimate thriving for this year or any year of your life is to remember the secret to living is giving. It's to, as corny as that sounds, it's to connect to something bigger than yourself. And it can be done so easily. It can be done right there at home. Instead of running past your kids, looking at your phone, it's stopping, connecting. It's kissing your spouse in a way where those sparks happen, like when you first met, instead of how you doing and moving on. Most of us are moving so fast, trying to manage our lives, that we're not thriving. Thriving comes with depth. You're not going to find thriving in a friendship that happens in milliseconds online. Nothing wrong with it. It's great connection. But a depth of a real friendship is not your Facebook friend. It's not the same as being with somebody and actually having your full attention, not while you're monitoring what's going on your cell phone. Just the experience of being with somebody. But contributing your caring, contributing your interest, contributing in a simple way, finding some way to give love, attention, care, joy, or happiness to any human being. It doesn't have to be working in a soup kitchen, but that can be pretty wonderful too. Volunteering an hour in a month, an hour in a week can change a person's life. But it can be outside world. It can also be really on the inside world. If you want to thrive, then you got to remember life's not about me, it's about we. You already know it. It's in your soul. It doesn't matter what words I say. If I'm saying something that's BS, you can feel it. If I'm saying something's true, you can feel it in your heart and soul. And the thing that's true is we're here for more than just ourselves. And we feel most alive when we're doing something that's beyond ourselves, when there's something where we think that, God, by this interaction, someone's going to feel more loved. Somebody's going to feel more lifted. Someone who was down is going to get up. Someone's going to know that they're cared for. Or I'm going to help somebody physically, food, skills, ability, talent, whatever. Helping a stranger or helping someone you love, help comes from a place where you're abundant, you're not scarce. So the most important time to help is when you think you need it. So next time you're really feeling down and out, maybe find somebody else who's much worse off, because there's always somebody there if you look around, and see what you can do to help them. And watch what that does to change your entire spirit, psychology, and state. You'll find yourself thriving when you step into a life of meaning beyond you. And ironically, life's about you too. And when you're in that thriving state of growing and giving, in that state of certainty, in that state of a vision of what you want with a sense of purpose, in that state of decisiveness, in that state of action, in that state of giving, all hell can be breaking loose and you're still going to thrive. All hell can be breaking loose and you're having a great time. So next time you're feeling uncertain, remind yourself you're a creator of life, not a manager of circumstances. And I hope this little trigger will remind you that also what'll help you have this is not just this video that you watched here, which maybe watching it again will be helpful, maybe not, it's up to you. But if you get the heart of what I'm really sharing, it leads to the end to understanding that our lives are a reflection of our rituals. If somebody tells me this is their dream, this is their goal, I say, that's wonderful. Tell me your plan, but more importantly, let me see your rituals. And we all have rituals, whether they know it or not. Rituals equal results. If you're overweight, it's because your rituals. Just find out what they are and change them. If your rituals are to get up every morning and go to Starbucks and have a mocha, whatever the hell it is you have, and a bunch of carbs and whoever knows what, it's not hard to figure out your blood sugar is going to be dropping and you're going to be looking for another coffee a few hours later. That doesn't create a life of energy that's on fire. That creates a place where you're riding the roller coaster of how much energy you have for now. There's an unlimited level of energy with a different ritual. When you start out your day doing what I call really my hour of power or my 15 minutes to be fulfilled. So at 3 or 4 days a week, 5 days a week, you took 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, one every now and then, you'll get so much momentum, you'll give yourself an hour for yourself, an hour to connect to what matters most, an hour to be grateful, an hour to get strong, working out, at least 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you, it'll frame your life in a different level, and you'll find yourself thriving. So take a look at what rituals you have that don't work, and what might be some new rituals. Like, instead of focusing on what you don't have, being truly grateful for what you do have. Instead of focusing on what you can't control, think what you can do right now to participate in your own rescue, not waiting for someone else to do it. Rituals define us. And so my hope is maybe these 5 things to thrive can trigger you to get in a state where you create some new rituals and that they will create the habits and the experiences of the life that you desire and that you deserve. So that's my rant. I hope it touched you. If it didn't, I apologize because my intent is pure. Blessings to you, and I hope I have a chance to serve and see you soon, maybe at an event or somewhere else in the world. And live strong and live with passion. Mental basics that if you start to shift it, everything else will shift in your life as well. Some people, by the way, have to have more than enough money to do what they want, when they want, where they want, with whomever they want, contribute the way they want. And if that's their must, they find a way. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but it's true. Somebody once said you can take all the money in the world out of the hands of everybody, out of all the wealthy people in the world who are really successful, give it to other people. It wouldn't take too long, those people would have it back in their hands. It's not because they're manipulative, it's because they have a standard. Some are manipulative, don't get me wrong, but they've got a standard of what they're gonna find a way to make happen. I'm just simply saying to you, take those 3 magic words and live them. Raise your standard. And if you really wanna do it, then I'll tell you the most important secret. Have you ever done this? Have you ever told yourself you're raising your standard? Okay, I'm gonna go make this happen. I'm gonna go make this much money. I'm gonna transform my kids. I'm gonna create the ultimate relationship in my life. I'm gonna transform my body, whatever it is. And then you don't have strong enough reasons and you don't use it. You don't follow through. It's because you didn't back up your standards with what makes those standards real, and that's rituals. Rituals are where the power is. Whenever we do our Robbins results coaching, and we say Robbins equals results, the way we get results with people, it's the same way if you listen to my Ultimate Edge program, or back in the old days, Personal Power, or if you went to one of my seminars. You know what I do is I take these huge challenges you got and we break them down into little bite-sized steps. Little things you do each day that after you do them, you get so much momentum that it's easy to succeed. You're not overwhelmed. You have these victory day after day after day on little things. If you went through Ultimate Edge, I'm sure you learned about the hour of power, or the 15 minutes to be able to be fulfilled, or 30 minutes to thrive, where you literally just condition your body and emotion with a couple little rituals. So it doesn't matter what's going on in your world, you feel that strength, and it's not fake, it's not some pump up, it's coming from inside you, and it works. Rituals define us. See, all the results in your life are coming from your rituals. They start with a standard and then have rituals that follow it up. Like, for example, if you are where you want to be physically, you have very different rituals than if you're not where you want to be physically. If you're overweight, you and I both know you got a different ritual than if you're physically fit. Completely different. You get up in the morning, what's the first thing you do if you're fit? Your shoes are there, you roll over, doesn't matter how you feel, you put on your shoes, you lace them, you start walking, or whatever that ritual is. If you're overweight, you roll over and you have a very different ritual. You might roll over several times to turn the alarm clock off. You go in and get your mocha, smocha, whatever, special coffee. You stop by at Starbucks, whatever the case may be. You have your nice sugar muffin. It's supposed to be really nice for you. Whatever you do, it's a different ritual. If you have a great, passionate relationship, you have very different rituals in how you come home than if you have a lousy relationship. When you come home and the first thing you do is you're tweeting somebody, or you're emailing, or flipping on the news, or you don't even come home. What are the rituals? Whenever I study people that are successful, what I look for is what's the standard they hold themselves to, and then what are all those little rituals that add up? Because think about it. Success and failure are not giant events. They don't just show up. You don't just suddenly become successful or suddenly have this cataclysmic event that makes you fail. It may look that way, but failure comes from all the little things. It's failure to make the call. It's failure to check the books. It's failure to say, I'm sorry. It's failure to push yourself to do things physically that you don't want to do. And all those little failures day after day come together until one day some cataclysmic event happens and you blame that. That event happened because you missed all the little stuff. Do you agree with me? And success, by the way, is not some overnight event. It's all these little things. Success is having a vision. Success is making it compelling. Success is really seeing it and feeling it every day with strong enough reasons. Success is feeling the sense that I'm here to grow and I'm here to give something to the world more than just myself. Success is caring about other people. Success is calling and saying, I love you in the middle of the day for no damn reason. Or sending a note. That'll change your relationship. Have a ritual of something funny, playful, or a surprise you do. How many relationships are dead today because they have no surprise rituals anymore? You need to have some rituals, some cool things you do that nobody else does that gives you a better life than anybody else has. All the little stuff. That's where success comes from. In business, it comes from delivering more than anybody could imagine. All those little things add up. People go, wow, that's who I want to do business with. It's true in any area of your life. So if you look at somebody who's really successful and you think, wow, they're so amazing, they're such a genius, you got to dig underneath and you got to remember something. People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private. Myself and my business people say, how do you get up and speak? And you have no notes and you go for 3 days and nights and the room is like, everybody's wired and it's incredible. It's like a rock concert. How do you do that? How do you have that confidence? Well, it's not confidence, it's experience now. But I did so much behind the scenes and I still do to make things right. How many people would know that since the time I was 17 years old, before I walk out on stage, still do to this day, wouldn't need to do it, but I still do it, I never walk out there without being in an absolute peak state of mind. You know, there are days my back is hurting, my throat was hurting, or I may have had a challenge, or my father passed away, and I've still got to deliver for these people because my standard is give my all every time. Every event has to be better. Talk to anybody who's been to our events for 5, 10 years, some of our trainers, and I'll say, I don't know how he does it. He always finds a way to make it better. That's not an ego thing. That's a standard in me. I have to find the way. And my ritual, though, is I prepare, I think, I gather new information, I figure out how to put something across better. What do people need? I spend time with our customers. I see what's going on. And before I get on stage each time, I have this little ritual to put myself in a state of mind. And I did it starting like 17 years old. I started doing it. I say, I now command my subconscious mind. And I say this out loud several times, this little phrase, set of phrases, as an incantation to kind of condition my mind and body. And I'd say, I now command my subconscious mind to direct me in helping as many people as possible today by giving me the strength and the emotion and the humor and the brevity, whatever it takes to show this person and help this person change their life now. And I started that with a person when I worked with people one-on-one, and I would do that for 45 minutes driving in my Volkswagen to go serve and coach somebody for the first time. Now I don't say that person, I say these people, and I can go out in a room of 10,000 people and deliver for 50 hours, and I do it every time I come back on stage. It's a ritual to go into peak state. Peak states don't just show up, they don't interrupt you. Great ideas don't interrupt you, you gotta pursue them. I talked to Michael Jordan, I'll never forget, at the peak of his career, and got to watch his final game, saw him backstage and spent some time with him, and it was a pretty exciting time. He was the greatest basketball player I think that ever lived and has ever lived. And I asked him, I said, you know, what sets you apart, Michael? You know, what is it? And is it God-given talent, ability, skill? What is it? And he said, Tony, you know, he said, I can shoot you straight. And you know, it's not, you know, me trying to act humble. He goes, I have a lot of talent, a lot of God-given talent, a lot of skill. I've worked really hard. But he said, really, it's my standards. He said, every day I demand more from myself than anybody else could humanly expect. I'm not competing with somebody else. I'm competing with what I'm capable of. Magic formula. Because most of us lower our standards. Why? Because who you spend time with, my friends, is who you become. One of the biggest reasons I started going to seminars when I was like 17 is I had nobody around me as a great role model. I could read about somebody, but being around people, being in that environment was very different. Finding a way to go to work with someone who lived that standard of life was very different. You get around people with low standards and you compete with it. You don't need to compete with it. It's like, okay. I mean, remember Jerry Springer? I don't know if he's still in the air, but you know, I remember he used to get people on the show and I thought, where would he find these people? And why would people watch? I'll tell you why they watch. They watch these people and go, my life's still pretty darn good compared to that person. Look at them. You don't have to change your life. All you have to do is find somebody with a lower standard and you'll feel good about yourself. But if you feel that good feeling, it's an illusion. The only thing that's going to make you happy, my friend, in this year or any other, is to step up. It's to raise the standard. It's to discover what you're capable of and feel that incredible power of pushing through whatever's holding you back and get to the other side of more of your true self. That's what this game's all about. And look at the best of the world in anything. Tiger Woods, what's his vision? To win golf tournaments? No, to be the best that ever lived. That's his goal. That's his vision. But here's what's interesting. He backs it up with rituals. If you just have a vision and you don't have the rituals, stop lying to yourself. His rituals are, he started doing things nobody did before. He went and started lifting weights. Golfers lifting weights? No way. He went out and he changed his swing when he was the best in the world because he realized in order to be the best that ever lived, he was going to have to change his swing. If you know anything about golf, you don't change your swing when you're the best. And he went and retrained himself because he has different rituals than other golfers. Now many people are modeling his rituals to get better. It's amazing. You know, you look at somebody like Michael Phelps, the 2008 swimmer, won 7, you know, only 2 people, I think, in history, if I remember correctly, that have gotten 7 gold medals in one session. And here's a guy, he's got number 6 under his belt, and he's exhausted, and he's going in for that final swim. I'm sure you remember. And how does the guy win? By 1/100th of a second. Do you think that was some massive skill that got him over the top? Or was it a standard that says, this is who I am? I am the champion. And no one is taking this from me. And somehow in those final milliseconds, 100th of a second, he pushed himself just beyond his competitor. We want to create a system that allows you to succeed in both areas, life and your enterprise. So what I want to really make sure that comes out of this is an evaluation of what your real gifts are that are going to fulfill you. Because many of you are living a script around your life that involves having an enterprise when really that may not be your true nature. That's not to say you can't do it. It just means you can do it and you'll be stressed out of your life, stressed out of your mind. And so one of the things we want to find out is how much of that is natural as a problem, how much of that is maybe unnatural. Unnatural meaning you're having problems right now that you shouldn't be having at this stage of development. The most important element is for you to be able to do this, to be able to establish, most importantly, where you really are in your life today. Where are you? And where do you really want to go? What's going to create this extraordinary life? Because some of you right now, if you continue the direction you're going, are going to be successful and unfulfilled, unhappy, and stressed. Because once we get, into a dream, then that dream starts to take on a life of its own. It gives us juice, it gives us energy. But how many of you ever got the dream, achieved your goal, and then thought, is this all there is? How many of you have had this experience? Say, aye. That's more painful than not even achieving it. Because now you've done everything, you've worked it out, and you're successful, and you're not happy. So for some of you, you're going to need to take a look at that. Michael Gerber, the guy that wrote the E-Myth, talks about why so many businesses, young businesses fail. And one of the things he says is most people are not really entrepreneurs, but they think that's what they should be. They think that's the sexy thing, that's the most attractive thing, that's the best answer. And what I say to you is you got to separate the vehicle from the outcome. What is it that's going to truly fulfill you? What is it that's going to give you that extraordinary life? What's going to make things magnificent on your terms, not somebody else's terms, not your father, your mother, your background? What is that really? Separate the vehicle, because there's many ways to get to that vehicle. But I'm saying sometimes you got to reevaluate what's going to really make you fulfilled. What is your gift? Are you an artist? Are you the talent that can produce something no one else produces as a skill or a product or a service or some impact? Are you incredibly good at management? You really know how to manage or lead people? Are you an extraordinary entrepreneur that can take that gigantic gut load of risk and can create the vision and attract the talent that you need and the managers and leaders? You may have all three abilities, but which one really fulfills you the most is going to be the critical question. Because we tend to want to do them all, especially in a room like this, because you're all overachievers, right? Me too. And you say, well, I can do all these. Yes, you can, but what will it do to your quality of life? See, again, the secret's going to be this. What is an extraordinary life on your terms today? Getting clear about that. At this stage of life, where you are, where you want to go. At some level, you have a blueprint, a mindset, a belief system, a philosophy, a set of values that says, if I master this thing called my life or my enterprise, then I'll have this great feeling. But what's really interesting about life, I believe that extraordinary life, however you define it, has two master skills to it. The first skill is the science of achievement. Most of you in this room have achieved enormously at various levels of business or as an individual artist or talent or as an entrepreneur or as a manager or leader, as an investor. I mean, everybody in this room, most of you in this room, have really hit the jackpot by most of the world's standards, even though most of you think it's still not enough. But the science of achievement is a skill. It is a science. There are laws. So achievement, even this course, to me, that achievement is, business is a spiritual game. That's what I believe. It's a spiritual practice. A lot of people think it's business, oh, that's money, that's this horrible thing over there. And that's one of the reasons that they never get really passionate about it. I'm a very spiritually driven, purpose-driven man. But the reason I love business is I see business as the ability to take the invisible and make it visible. I think that is what spirituality and creation is. It's about how can I find the gift I have to give the world? And how can I give it in a way that truly adds value? Not I think adds value, but the people receiving it, they vote with their feet and say, this truly makes a difference in my life. This is something I value. And then because they become a customer again. Because they're thrilled with it. Because they become a raving fan, not just a satisfied customer. Satisfied customers will leave you. Raving fans will stick with you.